fireman is a servant of the public. He saves lives, protects property. He's on duty 56 hours a week, but is not paid overtime, although he may be called to work many extra hours. The National Safety Council lists the firefighting profession as one of the most hazardous occupations. Nearly 200 deaths and over 23,000 injuries suffered each year by firemen. Let's take a look at the firemen during their 24-hour shift. The shift starts about 11 a.m. as the oncoming men relieve the men on duty. After changing into his uniform, each man checks the emergency equipment and makes sure everything is in place and in good working order. The firemen keep abreast of time by studying. At 1 p.m., the officer in charge calls the men together, conducts company school, which consists of a wide variety of subjects. Each day, except for weekends and holidays, all the fire stations in Dallas have 2 hours of school. Some of the subjects include location of new fire plugs, new streets, first aid, hydraulics, salvage, ventilation, forcible entry, radiology, chemistry of fire, tools and equipment, as well as new firefighting techniques and rescue procedures. The firefighter's efficiency is increased by studying and practicing during the school period. The highly competitive civil service exams for fire department promotions require constant study, as evidenced by the many firemen attending college, earning bachelor degrees, and working on doctor's degrees. The Dallas Fire Department offers many services other than firefighting. Emergency rescue vehicles are strategically located over the city. They are equipped with tools to free wreck victims, rescue people in stuck elevators, and just about any other type of emergency involving a life hazard. Your Dallas firemen are trained extensively in first aid, and many are qualified instructors. Many calls to the fire department are for resuscitators. This machine forces oxygen into the lungs of a victim and pulls a vacuum to help him breathe. The resuscitator is used on heart attack victims, in drownings, and any other emergency where respiratory stoppages have occurred. Your fire department also maintains an efficient underwater rescue team with several boats and a large assortment of scuba gear. Usually, the firemen eat 3 meals during the 24-hour shift. They contribute to a fund for their groceries. One of the men cooks the meals, and others set the table and wash dishes. The firemen have to be prepared at any time to drop whatever they're doing and answer an alarm. When someone telephones the fire department, the dispatchers at the central station answer. They can open a direct line to any station in town. The fire station nearest the emergency is notified, and within seconds, the men are aboard the apparatus and on their way to help someone. Suddenly, help is needed, and the skill of the firefighter will be tested. A predetermined number of apparatus will respond to each fire alarm box. The first apparatus to arrive reports on the conditions at the scene. The officer in charge can call for additional men and apparatus if needed. This call for help usually means a second alarm fire, or possibly up to the maximum 5 alarms. If more help is needed at a 5-alarm fire, a signal 1-7 is sounded. This is a call for all off-duty men to immediately report for duty. When the fire is finally tapped out, only half the work is done. Salvage operations and cleaning work has to be completed. From 6 p.m. until 7 a.m., the men have no organized duty. They can watch television, they can study, or they relax as they choose. Often, the rest time is cut short by the sound of the alarm bell. The big fires pose the most problems and dangers for the firefighter. There are many hazards inside a burning building: open elevator shafts, loose electrical wiring, falling objects, littered floors, radiation contamination, backdraft explosions, and building collapse. The dangers can hardly be exaggerated. No fireman can escape exposure to the superheated gases present at the big fires. Many medical experts believe the inhalation of these poisonous gases damages the heart. Smoke asphyxiation and severe physical strains are commonplace with firemen. After the fire is out, overhaul completed, hose, ladder, and tools are loaded, the companies return to the station. Most of the men start preparing for bed after the 10 p.m. news. Some use this free time to study. Still others use it as an opportunity to rest and relax between fires. 24 hours a day watch duty must be in effect. Usually, the men take 2-hour turns. The watch duties include answering the main line telephone, keeping a written record of all information from the alarm office, and alerting the men in case of a run. Suddenly, another fire is reported, and as the men bunk out, they wonder, is it a raging fire, one raging violently, or is it just a trash fire? Most of the big fires are at night, on holidays or Sundays, because of the delay in detecting them. During normal working hours, when people are in the buildings, there is little chance for a fire to go unnoticed. It is important to reach the fire during the first 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, most fires are out of control. This fire has developed into an inferno. The dangers are many in a fire such as this. The firemen work as a team, each man doing his job. Apprentice firemen, fresh from rookie school, work side by side with seasoned veterans. The officer in charge of operations on the scene has to make quick decisions: where and how to use his men and equipment, which exposure should be protected first, what poses the biggest threat to the safety of his men, how can the quickest stop be made. These decisions, and many others, have to be made quickly, then efficiently executed. The engineer who drives the apparatus and controls the pump pressure must be knowledgeable in hydraulic formulas and other technical information in order to provide the correct water pressure. Too much water pressure will make the lines impossible for the men to hold. Not enough pressure will cause the water to fall short of the fire. Manning the hoses is not an easy task. Now that the fire is tapped out, the men again load the equipment and return to the station. Some stay up, others return to bed to get a little more sleep. At 7 a.m., the alarm office awakens all firemen in Dallas. After dressing and breakfast, the men began cleaning the apparatus, equipment, and the station. The bell hits again. Their workday is not over yet. That cleaning can be done later. The fire department is needed now. One of the major threats of a fuel fire is an explosion. Water is sprayed on the tank in an attempt to keep it from exploding, while other lines extinguish the fire. Overflowing burning fuel can spread fire rapidly to surrounding buildings, automobiles, and other valuable property. Gasoline spillage fires are extremely hot and require special techniques to bring under control. In addition to water, foam is also used to combat these fires. This would be considered a fast shift most of the time, but on some days it's just average. However, the fireman is on duty 24 continuous hours and is always ready and willing to help the citizens of Dallas. The old image of the fireman sitting around the station all day playing dominoes, that's a thing of the past. The modern fireman simply does not have time to spare. There are building surveys to be made, home inspections, company school, maintenance of equipment, station cleaning, and many other duties that occupy the day of the fireman. As the oncoming shift reports for duty, someone asks, "What happened on the last shift?" The man completing his shift says, "Nothing spectacular, just about the usual."